Young one to adults, the new individuals which are born or hatched from eggs continue to grow till they become adults. In some animals, young ones may look very different from the adults. For example, the life cycle of a frog is shown in figure 6.10. तो जब न्यू इंडिविजुअल बॉर्न होते हैं या तो उनकी ग्रोथ फीमेल बॉडी के अंदर होती हो जैसे कि मैमल्स में होता है, या फिर एग्स के अंदर हो जैसे कि अन्य प्राणियों में होता है, फिर जन्म लेने के बाद उनकी डेवलपमेंट होती है और यंग वंस फिर एडल्ट बन जाते हैं। ये जो डेवलपमेंट है, ये जो जर्नी है, वो कुछ प्राणियों में बिल्कुल अलग होती है। जैसे कि इन केस ऑफ फ्रॉग देर आर डिफरेंट स्टेजेस। द फर्स्ट स्टेज इज एग एज शोन हियर। आफ्टर दैट देर इज अ टैडपोल स्टेज और द लार्वा स्टेज। So in the tadpole or the larva stage, the frog is much more like a fish than a frog. उसको lungs नहीं होते, उसको फिर पैर भी नहीं होते. So early tadpole looks quite different than the adult frog. फिर उसके बॉडी में कुछ ड्रास्टिक चेंजेस होते हैं, यानी कि बॉडी का स्ट्रक्चर बिल्कुल बदल जाता है. लंग्स डेवलप होते हैं, लेग्स डेवलप होते हैं, जो टेल होती है वो एब्जॉर्ब होती है बॉडी के अंदर, और फिर वो फ्रॉग जमीन में रहने की क्षमता प्राप्त करता है. सो इन सम एनिमल्स द स्टेजेस ऑफ डेवलपमेंट are quite different. The body designs are quite different in these stages. The tadpoles transform into adults capable of jumping and swimming. Transformation of larva into adult through drastic changes is called metamorphosis. What about the changes we observe in our body when we grow? ह्यूमन बीइंग में ऐसे नहीं होता. ह्यूमन बीइंग में सिर्फ हमारी फिजिकल ग्रोथ होती है, यानी वेट बढ़ता है, फिर ऑर्गन्स के डायमेंशंस बढ़ते हैं, हाथ पैर वो लंबे होते हैं. तो जैसा हम चाइल्डहुड में दिखते हैं वो जो बॉडी का स्ट्रक्चर है वो कायम रहता है, सिर्फ हमें ग्रोथ होती है. लेकिन कुछ ऑर्गेनिजम्स में ये सारे स्टेजेस डिफरेंट होते हैं. सेम थिंग इज ऑब्जर्व्ड इन केस ऑफ बटरफ्लाइज. तो बटरफ्लाइज में भी अलग अलग ऐसे ड्रास्टिक चेंजिंग ऐसे उनके बॉडी डिजाइंस होते हैं. इन ह्यूमन बीइंग्स द बॉडी पार्ट्स सिमिलर टू दोज प्रेजेंट इन एडल्ट्स आर प्रेजेंट फ्रॉम द टाइम ऑफ बर्थ. तो ये हो गया मेटामॉर्फोसिस. मेटामॉर्फोसिस इज द ड्रास्टिक चेंजेस हैपनिंग इनसाइड द बॉडी व्हेन यंग वन इज ट्रांसफॉर्म इनटू एन एडल्ट. यंग वन को एडल्टहुड में ट्रांसफॉर्म होने के लिए जिसमें ड्रास्टिक बॉडी चेंजेस होते हैं उस प्रोसेस को बोलते हैं मेटामॉर्फोसिस. असेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन. So far, we have learnt about the reproduction in some familiar animals. But what about the small animals like Hydra and microscopic animals like amoeba? Do you know how they reproduce? Let us find out. Get the permanent slide of Hydra, observe them using a hand lens or a microscope. Look out for any bulges on the parent body. Count the number of bulges that you see on different slides. Also note the size of the bulges. Draw the diagram of Hydra as you see it and compare it with the figure. So you will see that in case of Hydra, A small outgrowth is grown on the body as shown here. जैसे कि यहाँ पे दिखाई गई है, एक स्मॉल आउटग्रोथ आती है, देन दैट इज ग्रोन, फिर उसकी ग्रोथ होती है, एंड अल्टीमेटली a new hydra, a young hydra is formed. And after the maturation, that young hydra separates from the parent hydra. So this is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. This is the parent hydra, and this is the daughter hydra, you can say. In this case, there is only a single parent. So there is no male and female differentiation in case of hydra. There is parent cell and the daughter. In each hydra, there may be one or more bulges. These bulges are developing new individuals and they are called buds. Recall the presence of buds in yeast. In hydra too, new individuals develop as outgrowth from a single parent. This type of reproduction, in which only a single parent is involved, is called asexual reproduction. Since new individuals develop from the buds of the hydra, this type of asexual reproduction is termed as budding. और एक मेथड है asexual reproduction की, और and that is called the fission. Fission यानी टुकड़े होना. So you have already learnt about the structure of amoeba. You will recall that amoeba is a single-celled organism. It begins the process of reproduction by division of its nucleus into two. So in this case, nucleus is first divided into two nuclei, and after the division of nucleus, the cytoplasm or the cell body is also divided into two. This type of asexual reproduction is called binary fission. Apart from budding and binary fission, there are some other methods of asexual reproduction, and you will learn about them in higher classes. और कुछ मेथड है जैसे कि स्पोर फॉर्मेशन. स्पोर्स आर स्मॉल blackish brownish particle which can grow into new plants. So that is called spore formation, that takes place in some fungi and in some plants. There is vegetative propagation that takes place in some other animals. So all these other methods of asexual reproduction will be learnt in higher classes. So this is about asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction और sexual reproduction, इनके बीच में main difference ये है कि in asexual reproduction there is only a single parent involved. Hence the offspring, that is the new generation, is genetically similar with the parent cell. तो उनका DNA same होता है, यानी उनका structure almost अपने parent जैसा होता है. Whereas in sexual reproduction there are two parents involved. Hence there is mixing, recombination of two DNAs in the offspring. Hence in sexual reproduction the differentiation in the offspring is much more than the asexual reproduction, and that is the main advantage of the sexual reproduction. Story of a dolly the clone. Cloning is the production of an exact copy of a cell, any other living part or complete organism. तो cloning यानी copy करना. Cloning of an animal was successfully performed for the first time by Ian Wilmot and his colleagues at Roslin Institute in Edinburgh, Scotland. They successfully cloned a sheep named Dolly, and Dolly was born on 5th July 1996 and was the first mammal to be cloned. During the process of cloning of Dolly, a cell was collected from the mammary gland of a female fin Dorset sheep. Simultaneously, an egg was obtained from Scottish blackface ewe. Nucleus was removed from the egg. Then the nucleus of the mammary gland cell from the fin Dorset sheep was inserted into the egg of Scottish blackface ewe, whose nucleus had been removed. Egg thus produced was implanted into the Scottish blackface ewe. Development of this egg followed normally, and finally the dolly was born. You can see this dolly looks exactly same as the fin Dorset sheep. इसके बॉडी से सेल निकाला था और इसके बॉडी में वो इम्प्लांट किया था. तो ये जो ऑफस्प्रिंग थी विच लुक एग्जैक्टली लाइक दिस फिन डॉर्सेट शिप एंड नो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ स्कॉटिश ब्लैक शिप ewe were present in that. So the dolly was exact Xerox copy of fin Dorset sheep. Dolly was a healthy clone of fin Dorset sheep and produced several offspring of her own through normal sexual means. Unfortunately, Dolly died on 14th February 2003 due to certain lung disease. Since Dolly, several attempts have made to produce cloned mammal. However, many die before birth or die soon after the birth. Cloned animals are many a time found to be born with several abnormalities. So, cloning is still in its experimental stages. So what we have learned in this chapter, we have learned that there are two modes of reproduction, namely sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Reproduction resulting from fusion of male and female gamete to different parents is called sexual reproduction. Reproductive organs in the female include ovaries, oviducts and uterus. Reproductive organs in male include testes, sperm ducts and penis. Ovary produces female gametes called ova, and the testes produce male gametes called sperms. Fusion of ovum and sperm is called fertilization. Fertilized egg is called zygote. Fertilization that takes place inside the female body called internal fertilization. This is observed in human beings and other animals such as hens, cows and dogs. Fertilization that takes place outside the female body is called external fertilization. It is observed in frogs, fish and starfish, etc. Zygote divides repeatedly to give rise to an embryo. Embryo gets embedded in the walls of uterus for further development. Stage of the embryo in which all the body parts are identifiable is called a fetus. Animals such as human beings, cows and dogs which give birth to young ones are called viviparous animals. Animals such as hen, frog, lizard and butterfly which lay eggs are called oviparous animals. The transformation of larvae into adult through the drastic changes is called metamorphosis. The type of reproduction in which only a single parent is involved is called sexual reproduction. In Hydra, new individual develop from birds. This method of asexual reproduction is called budding. Amoeba reproduces by dividing itself into two different cells. This is known as binary fission.